Greetings once again from West Craig Hill Drive on this November the 23rd, 2002. I am repeating the meditation that we used last year at this time with some minor changes. I wish to depart from what has become the normal meditation from the Daily Prayer 2001 or 2002 book, which looks something like this. Our meditations generally will reflect the season which is current. Right now that would be Advent. However, or will be Advent. However, tomorrow we will celebrate Thanksgiving Day. My ancestors arrived here on the Mayflower in 1620. Thomas Rogers, my ninth great-grandfather, died in that first winter, but his son Joseph would have been present at the first Thanksgiving celebration. My grandfather brought us grandchildren to Plymouth to help us to better understand our heritage. What was then called Plymouth Plantation and started in 1947 has now been updated and renamed Plymouth Patuxet to reflect the Pilgrims' relationship with the indigenous people of the 17th century, the Wampanoags, without whose help they most likely would not have survived. More than 90% of American families celebrate Thanksgiving in some form. The holiday is celebrated in other countries and in some fashion. Now, one could ask, why? Why does it continue to resonate now 400 years later? Feast that it is, the gift of Thanksgiving isn't really about the day's menu. The gift is gathering together with friends, family, and the community to remember countless blessings. The gift is the gratitude itself. Gratitude was woven into every aspect of 17th century Wampanoag life. According to their oral traditions, giving thanks was the primary reason for ceremonies or celebrations. The richness of the land itself in the region around Patuxet, the land that we now know as Plymouth, was acknowledged by all who lived on it. Indigenous people knew that there were certain times and seasons to collect berries, gather plants for medicines, hunt, and fish. They also knew how to ensure that there would be sufficient food for their people. They would share in daily thanksgiving for the abundance given for the Creator for everyday life. So, by emphasizing gratitude, the Creator's gifts could not be taken for granted. Our English separatist ancestors were deeply religious people, and not unlike their newfound Indian friends, they were thankful for all that God had given to them. To the colonists of New England, a date of Thanksgiving was properly a day of prayer, in pious humiliation, thanking God for his providence, particularly for the good harvest that they had received. Now, although the American concept of Thanksgiving developed in the colonies of New England, its roots can be traced back to the other side of the pond. Both the separatists who came over on the Mayflower and the Puritans who arrived soon thereafter in Boston and other places during the Great Migration brought with them a tradition of providential holidays, i.e., days of fasting during difficult or pivotal moments, and days of feasting and celebration to thank God in times of plenty. Now, for hundreds of years before the Pilgrims ever came to America, both native and European people gave thanks for their blessings. This gratitude practice is known in some form in virtually every culture throughout the world. The November Thanksgiving holiday reflects a gratitude tradition that transcends time and cultural borders and plays an important role in today's American holiday. From one generation to the next, we pass on family traditions, favorite recipes, the wisdom of ancestors, and the stories of treasured family heirlooms. That first Thanksgiving in the fall of 1621 probably began with the reading of a psalm from the Geneva Bible, which was the one our Pilgrim forebears used. They did not use the King James Bible because they didn't believe King James was worth it. It sounded like this, and I took this from the Geneva Bible itself. a psalm of praise. Sing ye loud unto the Lord, all the earth. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before him with joyfulness. Know ye that even the Lord is God. He hath made us, and not we ourselves. We are his people, and the sheep of his pasture. Enter into his gates with praise, and into his courts with rejoicing. Praise him and bless his name. For the Lord is good, his mercy is everlasting, and his truth is from generation to generation. Despite disagreements over the particular details, a 3-day event in Plymouth in the fall of 1621 was the historical birth of the American Thanksgiving holiday. Now, growing up in New England as children, we were told a story about the Plymouth Pilgrims, how the Plymouth colony was established, and the relationship that we had with our Native American brothers and sisters. Now, that story may not have been actually reflected. It may not have actually reflected the facts as they took place in 1621. And much has been written over 400 years about that particular Thanksgiving, what it was actually like, and what our ancestors did as our forebearers or forefathers. One of the newer books that has been written is entitled Thanksgiving, The Pilgrim's First Year in America by Glenn Chaney. Here it is. Glenn has attempted to update how things actually happened back then, and I highly recommend his book. Facts are updated and put into context for us to give us a realistic understanding of the holiday that we will celebrate tomorrow. And he suggests that before you gather to partake of your Thanksgiving meal, you read slowly part of his chapter 5, which is entitled The People. I have asked Glenn his permission to use it as a part of this meditation. Perhaps you will want to share it with your family tomorrow, as he suggests, quoting from the book the words he reads to his family before they share the Thanksgiving meal. Quote, "So the Mayflower contained a cross-section of values that would become quintessentially American. The insistence on following the heart rather than the law, the inability to tolerate injustice, the audacity to demand authority over authorities, the courage to pursue happiness no matter how miserable it might make them, and to seek a better life no matter how much worse it might be, the wisdom of working together as a society for mutual benefit and personal profit. They believed in the power of the congregation. They would do their own thinking and make their own decisions. They would pray their own prayers. They would dig in their heels. The strong would bury the weak, perhaps suffer a moment of doubt, then remember the mercy of their God and get back to work." Now, a good way, I think, to end today's meditation would be to sing the Thanksgiving hymn entitled, "We Plow the Fields and Scatter." It goes like this. We plow the fields and scatter the good seed on the land, but it is fed and watered by God's almighty hand. He sends the snow in winter, the warmth to swell the grain, the breezes and the sunshine, and soft refreshing rain. All good gifts around us are sent from heaven above. Then thank the Lord, oh thank the Lord, for all his love. We thank you then, O Father, for all things bright and good, the seed time and the harvest, our life, our health, our food. Accept the gifts we offer, for all your love imparts. And what thou most desirest, our humble, thankful hearts. All good gifts around us are sent from heaven above. Then thank the Lord, oh thank the Lord, for all his love. Well, that concludes our meditation this week as we prepare for our Thanksgiving meals. Our Bible study continues as we conclude Luke's Gospel at 4 p.m. on Zoom. Feel free to join us on Sunday morning at 8:15 in the sanctuary for worship. Next Sunday is the first Sunday of Advent. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, all of you. God bless you all. See you again next week.